All right, hello and welcome. My name is Hannah and I'm from the DuPont cohort.
For the start.
we'll,
Sure.
we'll see if those callbacks go through all of the presentations. Thanks to Antonio, you are now familiar with Jomanity's mission in this very complex problem space. What intrigued me most was their goal to create positive communication amongst their users. So I set out with the intention of creating a product strategy surrounding all the ways that people will communicate through Jomanity. The communication goals of Jomanity are to give their users a safe space online full of diverse perspectives where they can have constructive conversations that leave them feeling good and inspired to be the best people they can be. So we just need to solve the simple problem of creating a large online community that isn't full of petty judgment and hatred. Easy. I think this meme sums up the problem space quite nicely. And while it's funny because it is true and it affects everyone everywhere. So let's dive in and see what we can do about it. To gain a more thorough understanding of the space, first I did a comparator analysis looking into all of the other ways that users, or just people that use online communication, are currently doing it, seeing what they were doing well, seeing what they weren't doing so well. I then looked into secondary research at all of the data and surveys and articles written about this very topical space. And lastly, I did a research study of my own and did a survey with 25 different people looking at getting a more personal realization of what they were doing well and what they what they were doing, what their pain points and struggle points were with currently using communication online. And what I found was that across the board, their favorite aspect was connection and their least favorite aspect was the negativity and toxicity. So how do we keep the good parts of social media and lose some of that negative space? Well, I don't really know, so I did some more research, and in this part of my research, I did one-on-one conversations about the good things that are happening in humanity in the analog world and thinking about how we could bring that into the digital space. So I talked to people who were part of support groups, trying to understand what worked in that made it an effective, supportive community that brought a lot of the goals that Jomanity is seeking to achieve. I talked to them about having accountability buddies, knowing who's around them in their life that they keep to make them be the best person they can be. And I also talked to them about having connections with strangers, like what facilitated that in the real world that we could bring in to the digital space. So with these insights in mind, I took all of the data I gained from my first study, I combined it with all of the analysis and insights I gained from my secondary research, I thought about Jomanity's goals, and I just mixed it all together in my mind, went to bed one night, and woke up, and I had the answer. No, I'm just kidding. But perhaps I did get us one step in the right direction. So I have ideated a multi-touchpoint strategy for Jomanity, considering every aspect a user will experience that will affect their communication. I don't have time to go into each point deeply, but I'll give you a brief overview and then I'll dive into the two new features that I'm suggesting for Jomanity. So the first touchpoint, how to help Jomanity find its users. After all, these will be the people communicating on the app, and it's crucial that they share the Jomanity point of view. So I have some ideas into how they can get people into that space, but then the second strategic point is the onboarding and setting of tone and expectations. What I found in my research is that when there's clear expectations set, people just tend to naturally follow them. Third, looking at the forum for full community discussion that currently exists in the app, I looked into how we could make this an active listening space promoting many different voices to be heard. Now the last two are the new features I'm suggesting for Jomanity, which are a small group engagement feature and then a larger group informative gathering feature. So let me tell you a little bit more about those. Small groups. This feature will give users an opportunity to connect with other humans from all walks of life that share a common goal for humanity. I have many ideas that will need to be tested, but the intent behind this feature is that it will really promote action and accountability. Users with similar personal goals will be grouped together to support each other as they make true progress. I also want to meaningfully connect users with the other side of the screen. My research showed that the reason we can be so vicious online is because there's a barrier between what we're saying and who we're saying it to. Similar to how when you're driving, you can somehow shout profanities at that fellow human being, but you wouldn't necessarily do that on the sidewalk. So when there's a real human being in front of you, compassion and understanding naturally follow. Also, the personal connection that is going to be formed in these kind of small groups will really help meet that crucial goal of safety and support that the user feels using the app. The same intent for the small group feature will also drive what I'm calling gatherings. So gatherings will be an opportunity for Jomanity to leverage their really diverse perspectives of their user group to connect on topics that affect us all. So this may look like a speaker talking about a specific topic, which afterwards breaks out into facilitated small group discussion and then returns for big group takeaways so that you can hear many different perspectives around the same idea. I believe this structured interaction will help Jomanity users have those informed and constructive conversations that they desire. So in summary, this was an incredibly relevant space to dive into, but the biggest challenge was that it was so huge and varied. And what I've discovered is you just can't solve the world overnight, but you can hopefully get it one step closer. So I sincerely hope that my work will bring Jomanity closer to their truly noble mission. My next step would be testing these new features and seeing how and if they work. So thank you so much to Sarita and Brittany for the opportunity to collaborate. Here's my updated meme of how the world will look with Jomanity in it. Thank you to all the staff here at Prime, and of course to my group mates, Gabby and Antonio. You can check me out on my website if you'd like to connect further. Thank you.